So here's the hints for the third challenge in Audacity. What we had to do was record the same phrase we used in the second challenge, but record the complete phrase, first using our own voice. So here goes. The latest survey shows that 3 out of 4 people make up 75% of the world's population. And then we had to record the same thing with someone else's voice. So the first thing we had to do is remember that we don't want to have the playback. If you have headphones, it's okay because it'll play back into your headphones. If you don't have headphones, you'll want to mute the first track so it doesn't play while you record the other part. So just to illustrate my point, I'm going to record in a deeper voice so we can tell the difference between the two tracks. The latest survey shows that 3 out of 4 people make up 75% of the world's population. So right away we can see similarities in the two tracks, but if we play it back, it's not going to line up perfectly. So, and especially if we're using two different people's voice, we're going to get completely different sounding files. So one of the first things we want to do is, like I showed in the other tutorial, in the challenge, is to create a third track, one that we can work around with. So this track we can use to copy and paste things if we want to move them around. So let's say we copy this, and so now we have a duplicate of that portion that I just copied, and I can move that around to line it up. Now let's say we could get rid of what we had previously, just like that, and it automatically fills in the space, so you'll have to readjust it. So you can do something like this, and now so I'm lining these two things up, and we can see what the beginning sounds like.
The latest survey shows that 3 out of 4 people
See, now what I've done is because I've separated a few of the words, it's easier to arrange them relative to the original recording. One thing you can do if you're having trouble lining things up is we can zoom in, and then we can see much better how closely the two projects line up. So now if we play this back,
the latest survey shows
it's going to be a much closer match. So what that is the zoom controls up on the top right here. So you can zoom in, you can zoom really far in, you can zoom out. Usually somewhere around this level here should give you some pretty good accuracy as to lining things up. So just like that will make it sound pretty good. And then you can zoom back out again. So I'll just play that again for you.
the latest survey shows
And then you can go ahead and do the same thing for the rest of the project. Now what you'll find is, in order to get everything perfectly matched up, is you're going to have to create several spare tracks in order to copy different words or parts of the phrase in order to be able to move it around. Because, as I'll show you here, if we copy this portion and take it out and then bring that down here, I now have 2 copied segments from the second recording on a different track. If we try and move this around, it's going to move both segments. So you won't be able to have them move independently. You need them on separate tracks. So I'm just going to undo what I did there. And so what we'll do is we'll just make these a little smaller so you can see everything. And we're going to make another track and do the same thing as we did before. Copy all of this, copy it, take it out, and I'm going to bring it down here and paste it. Remember, you got to move it over because it goes back to the beginning of the track. And I'm going to move it over there. Now remember that I've taken out part of what's up here, so all of this track is slided back to move into its place. So we're going to need to move that back to where it originally was. Okay, so now we have everything separated. But let's say you have these two portions. So what we have right here and what we have right here. Let's say you have those two pretty much where you want them in relative to your original recording. What you can do is you can select one track, hold down the Shift button, and click on the second track. So that will select all of it, or you can use the selection cursor, like I've just done here, and drag over both the tracks without selecting the top two tracks. Go to the project menu and select Quick Mix. And that'll quick mix what we call the two tracks together, giving you one single track with the positioning that you had selected. So that's one way to experiment with these two voices. And remember to use the volume slider if one voice is too loud. And also if, say for example, someone's speaking louder at different points in the phrase, then we can use our envelope tool. And remember, if you need to go refer back to the mixing tutorial, we can use our envelope tool to make certain parts louder and certain parts quieter in order to get a nice mix and make it all sound like one really weird and funky voice. So that's just a few tips on the third challenge in Audacity.